Danny Balch. It was May 1980, and Danny Balch and his friend Brian Thomas were violently woken during a camping trip in Washington state in the Pacific Northwest. It was the eruption of Mount St. Helens, and the blast was heading toward the meadow they were camping in with 4 other friends. As they ran for their lives, looking for shelter in some trees when the day turned black, Balch was hit by a tree-flattening blast of heat and a shower of ash, mud, and ice that caked him in grit and pushed him flat to the ground. In seconds, he went from frozen to baked. When Balch got up, he yelled for Thomas, then crawled into the river to soothe his burned hands and left leg in the river's warm, muddy water. He resumed his search, scrambling over downed trees until he felt a hand on his left shoulder that pushed him off balance. He looked down and saw Thomas under a tangle of tree limbs. Thomas had a broken hip, and the skin was peeling off Balch's burned hands. But somehow, Balch could pull his friend up to the top of the tangle just as ash started to fall. After that, they went looking for their friends. Balch and Thomas were still on the pile of tree debris 2 hours after the blast, with their shirt collars pulled over their noses and mouths to screen out ash, when Balch saw 2 of their friends, Nelson and his girlfriend Ruff, making their way through the downed trees toward them. The 2 men carried Thomas to the ruins of an old cabin, where they built a makeshift lean-to, and learned that his other 2 friends, Terry and Karen, had died. Leaving Thomas behind, Balch, Nelson, and Ruff then hiked out seeking help. But Balch was barefoot during the whole ordeal. He had been scrambling from downed tree to downed tree to avoid hot ash. Luckily, they were spotted at about 6 p.m., more than 9 hours later after the nightmare began, by 2 rescue helicopters. Balch didn't forget about his injured friend and guided the rescuers to save him. He was airlifted to St. John Medical Center in Longview, where he and Thomas were hospitalized. Once the painkillers kicked in, Balch didn't regain consciousness until the following Sunday, 7 days later.